everyone. Pat, storyteller here again. Welcome to my regular listeners. I'm so happy you're here. And a big welcome to all the people who have subscribed recently. What a lovely surprise. Thank you so much for coming aboard. Today's story is a story written quite a number of years ago. It's a children's story called Naar in the Jar. Here's the second frog story. So here we go. Please enjoy. Thank you again for coming. Here's the story. Here we go. Naar in a Jar, or How Naar the Tree Frog Spent Her Summer. Naar the Tree Frog jumped from tree to tree and from limb to leaf. Naar is looking for her lunch, and she spots it, a tiny butterfly. She leaps up to catch it, but as she looks up at the butterfly and jumps, she is suddenly wrapped in a mass of sticky string. It is the work of Mr. Weaver, the spider, to create these masses of string, spider webs. Naar always escaped jumping into them before. Today, however, she is caught in a web of confusion created by Mr. Weaver, the spider. Mr. Weaver is nowhere to be seen. He is off somewhere else, making another web. Maybe this time to catch a butterfly or a mosquito. Naar struggles helplessly. The web never caught her before, so she does not know how to get out. Then Naar does the only thing she can. She sings for help. One of her frog friends had escaped a web made by Mr. Beaver before. Naar sings for her friend to come and show her how to get free. Lucky, Lucky, please help me today. Naar is in a spider web. Naar struggles and rests, then struggles again. When will Mr. Weaver return? Many stories are told in the forest of Mr. Weaver and his webs of confusion. No matter what the forest creatures do, once they are caught, they all end up in the same way, as dinner for Mr. Weaver. Naar is beginning to worry. Time is passing, and no one is coming to help. The butterfly she was looking at when she jumped into the web comes by and looks on. The butterfly is thankful that today he is not Naar's dinner. Suddenly, the butterfly sees something that alarms him. He flies away, disappearing through the trees. Naar begins to feel even more worried. Surely Mr. Weaver is returning for his dinner. Oh, now my day is over forever. No one ever told Naar that Mr. Weaver does not eat tree frogs, not since the day the spider had that unfortunate meeting with a poisonous bush toad from the other side of the forest anyway. That small battle stopped any more thoughts about frog dinners. But this time it was not the dreaded spider. It was another frog hopping by. So sad, his eyes seemed to say. Mr. Weaver will not eat Naar, but he will certainly make fun of him for being in her web. And why not? Before this unlucky day, Naar was not friendly with Mr. Weaver, who always wants to try and taste everything that lands in his webs. As the day passes and the sun begins to set, the little tree frog feels thirsty and dry. The more she struggles, the more she is wrapped up in sticky strings this way and that way in the web of confusion. All the day creatures are going to bed now, and the night creatures are beginning to come out. They all walk around Naar, looking at her. Some offer ideas about how to get out of the web. Others just look on with pity. Still others make her feel afraid by telling her that Mr. Weaver likes eating frogs. Cyrus, the field mouse, comes by. He eyes Naar curiously, but refuses to help. He secretly wants Naar for his own dinner, but prefers to eat in his own home with no one looking on. He does not want all the other night creatures to see him moving Naar away. At just about dusk, when the last light from the sun giving way to the moon starts to happen, comes the sound of laughter. It is the sound of humans, perhaps 2 or 3 of them. They are walking toward Naar. Poor Naar is very dry and thirsty. She begins to sing a sad evening song. It is a beautiful song to listen to, even though it is a song of being lonely and helpless. When the other creatures hear the humans coming closer and closer, they scatter into the underbrush. "Listen to that," one of the voices says. "Isn't that the most beautiful sound you've ever heard?" "Yeah," says the other. "I know what that is. One day, when Dad and I were walking here, we heard that sound. It's a tree frog song." "It sounds so close. I've never seen a tree frog, Darius." "That's because they're so tiny," the boy named Darius explains. "Listen." Naar continues to sing. "No one will help me. I'm hungry and I'm thirsty. I'm afraid I will become the spider's dinner." Closer and closer the children come as Naar sings. They want to see the tree frog that is singing this beautiful song. "I will never see my family again. I will never be able to play with my friends again or sing happy tree frog song." Now the children sweep their flashlight from side to side. It looks like a small sun to the tiny frog and the other creatures that are hiding among the plants on the forest floor and in the trees. Finally, the light stops sweeping and rests on Naar. The girl and the boy stare in excitement. "Let's take it home," says Darius' sister Kayla. "Then we can listen to it sing all the time." This has been a very tricky and sticky day for Naar. First, she was the prisoner of a spider, and now she is the prisoner of 2 young humans. "What if they pull my legs off?" she thought with a shiver as they pulled her free from the web. "This is not a good day." Then Naar remembers the butterfly she was chasing. That butterfly is still free somewhere. Naar wishes she were a butterfly. The children put Naar into a jar. They put the lid on it and close it tightly. See, Kayla? The holes will help her to breathe, okay? Yes, but now we have to put bugs and flies and mosquitoes in the jar for her, Kayla says to her brother as they start walking out of the forest. Naar is no longer singing her frog song of rescue. She is too frightened to sing and too worried about what will happen to her next. As the two children walk along, they shine the flashlight into the jar to have a closer look at Naar. They stop for a moment to put leaves and twigs into the jar. They want to make their new friend feel comfortable. Naar climbs onto a twig, but when she tries to jump, her face hits something hard that she does not see. It is the glass wall of the jar. Now frog tears form in her frog eyes, and she sings another song. Oh woe, what an unlucky day. Her song is sad, but Kayla and Darius walk happily back to their home. Oh, it has stopped singing, says Darius. Well, I guess it's scared, being in the jar. Maybe if we give it some bugs, it'll know that we're friendly. Maybe then it'll start singing again. After the children get home, Darius pours some water into the jar. Then he puts some bugs and flies inside the jar for Naar to eat. Naar truly is hungry. She sinks to the bottom of the jar, splashes in the water, and begins to eat the bugs and flies. She even chews on a leaf. Now she is nicely moist and no longer hungry, but she's still very worried. Naar has never been in a jar before. Even though it has twigs to jump on and bugs and water, she still misses her forest home. So she begins to sing a very sad song. I miss my family and my friends. I am out of the web of Mr. Weaver the spider, but now I am in a human web. Kayla and Darius listen to Naar's song. To them, it sounds beautiful. They don't know what a sad song is for Naar. As the summer days go by, Naar grows sadder and sadder. Even though she has bugs to eat and water in her jar, it's still not the forest. Every day, Kayla and Darius stare into the jar and say, "Sing, Charlie Tree Frog, sing." Sometimes Naar sings, but her songs are always sad and filled with missing her forest home. One day, a few of her forest friends gather near the children's home. They see Naar in the jar on a windowsill. Naar sees them too. She is so excited that she jumps in the jar and hits her head on the lid. Now Naar has a small scratch on her nose. Her animal friends tell her about the happenings in the forest, about new animals that have come along, and the ones who are no longer there. They tell of Mr. Weaver, still building his webs of confusion. They tell of who got caught in the webs, about who got away and who didn't. But they cannot get her out of the jar. They all say they're very sorry. Then they hear someone coming, and they all run away. No one wants to end up in a jar like Naar. Naar decides that she must escape. She plans to jump from the jar when Kayla or Darius put more bugs or leaves or water in the jar. She waits many days. Then, one morning, Kayla opens the jar to put more water in, and out jumps Naar into the kitchen sink. Kayla screams as she tries to catch Naar. Naar hops onto the kitchen counter and is about to spring to the window when, whoomp! Something like a web that Mr. Weaver makes covers her like a blanket. Darius catches Naar with a butterfly net and puts her back into the jar. For many days, Naar would not sing even a sad song. She would sing no songs at all. On the day when the first leaves on the trees started changing color, Darius lifts up the jar, taps on the glass to get Naar's attention, and says to his sister, "You know, we have to go back to school in a couple of days." "I know what you're thinking," Kayla replies. "It's time to let Charlie go back to the forest." "You're wrong, Kayla. I was thinking that I want to show my friends what we found during our summer holiday." "That would be nice, Darius, and everything, Darius, but Charlie only sings in the evening anyway, when we're not at school. And I think he's looking sadder and sadder. I think we should let him go back to the forest. We've had a nice time with him, but a tree frog really belongs in the trees." "You're right," Darius agrees. "But I'm going to take lots of pictures of him before we let him go." Naar jumps all over the jar as the bright flashes of Darius's camera keep exploding. Finally, Darius picks up the jar and they begin walking toward the forest behind their home. As they get closer, Naar can hear sounds she has not heard for a long time. She hears the wind stirring through the leaves on the trees. She hears crickets chirping as they rub their long back legs together. She hears the swish, swish, swish of a rabbit and a field mouse running through tall grass. They run ahead of Darius, Kayla, and Naar, shouting to their friends, "Look, it's Naar! She's coming back! She's coming back with the humans!" They all watch from their hiding places to see what will happen next. Kayla and Darius take Naar almost to the same spot where they first found her. They open the jar. At first, Naar does not know what to do. Go on, Charlie. It's time for you to go back to your home. We really enjoyed your songs. Thanks very much. We won't forget you, will we, Darius? I've got the pictures to prove it," says Darius. Then Kayla tips the jar slowly upside down, and everything slides out. First water, then twigs, flies, and leaves, and finally, Naar. Naar is wrapped in the old feeling of forest home. She is so happy that she starts to sing right away. She makes one very long leap as far away from Darius and Kayla as she can. Then she sings again. I'm Naar, and I am back. I am alive, and I've missed you all very much. The humans did not harm me. They fed me with bugs and flies. They kept me moist and gave me twigs to climb on. I'm glad you came to visit me when I was in the humans' home. Then Naar turns and sees the humans walking away. Thank you, humans, she sings. Thank you for bringing me back to my home and pulling me out of Mr. Weaver's web of confusion. Thank you for not pulling my legs off. Naar jumps into one of her favorite trees. But just before she jumps, she looks carefully to see that there are no more webs about. Now she sings a song of the season, of the beautiful leaves and the soft breeze. She sings of her adventure when the humans took her out of Mr. Weaver's web of confusion and took her to their home. She sings of how happy she is to be back with her family. Naar lived as long as frogs usually do. As long as she lived, she never forgot her adventure, and she never again got caught in a web of confusion.